This is Tennessee Talks with United States Congressman Tim Burchett.
Hello, I'm Congressman Tim Burchett, and welcome back to Tennessee Talks. Today I'm joined by Representative Matt Gaetz, my good buddy from Florida. He represents Florida's 1st District and works with me here in Washington. Matt serves on the House Armed Services Committee and the House Judiciary Committee, as well as the back bench with me. He back benches with Burchett, as they say, or as I prefer to call it, Center's Row. That's where I sit. And Matt and I were joined by 6 other Republican colleagues in vacating Speaker McCarthy in the beginning of October, as many of you know. And so, Matt, thank you for being on the show with me, brother.
Hey,
appreciate you.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought they just said that in Knoxville on sports shows. I guess that's international. Well, first off, Matt, the big question, how's Ginger doing, your lovely bride?
Oh, it's great, man. I got to tell you, came to Washington as a single man. Now I'm married, and it took me 39 years to find the right one. But there's something about marriage where you kind of level up in life. You're able to achieve things that you weren't able to before, just in your own journey and walk through life. So I love being married. You and Ms. Boebert are my wife's favorite members of Congress. I hope to just at least be on the medal stage, 3rd.
Well, I guess she doesn't hold her standards too high if I'm in that group.
That's the hardest hit there is Lauren Boebert, no doubt.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate her. Well, people often ask, they say, why we brought the motion to vacate to the floor, and I have my reasoning. What would you tell them, Matt? I've heard you say it before, but
sure. No,
tell my folks.
I definitely want the folks who are in your district and throughout the country to know that this wasn't about the man. It was about the lack of progress we'd made, really delivering wins for our people. And right now what people are being crushed by is inflation, high interest rates, and those things are a direct consequence of government spending. Our government spending increased by 40% during COVID. And at the same time, we're seeing major economies throughout the world pull away from the dollar. Whether it's Gulf monarchies trading more in Chinese currency, whether it's the African Union moving more to local currency, even G20 economies in the Western Hemisphere are joining the BRICS system, the Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa system. They added Argentina recently. And as they move away from the dollar, we can't just keep printing more dollars. Now, Speaker McCarthy had made a commitment to us that we were going to have a balanced budget and then single subject spending bills nestled within that budget.
Which we do in Tennessee, and I'm sure you do that in Florida.
Yeah, in Tennessee, Florida, all the states that we require that. We were promised that system. It wasn't delivered. And so we're hopeful that going forward, we'll have more success with our current Speaker designate, Jim Jordan, who I hope is the House Speaker.
Excellent. When we removed the Speaker, you and I talked about changing. I think I was asked on one of the shows, and they even quoted me on Morning Joe, and they even said my name right. And I said, we're dysfunctional. And that was all I said. But it changes the dynamics of things when you change the speakers. Tell me how you think that will affect the dynamics here in Washington.
Well, sometimes you see a team that's real talented, that's not performing to expectations. And while firing the coach in the middle of the season is not preferable, it's never the plan when you start the season.
No.
Sometimes getting a new voice in leadership, getting a new strategy, getting a new focus in the huddle, if you will, can really turn things around. We've seen it in athletics and other team environments. We've seen it in the business world where a new CEO can come in, make some abrupt, meaningful, constructive, positive changes, and you can see an organization thrive. So I view this not as a sign of chaos or dysfunction. I don't buy into that.
Well, we follow the rules. We follow the rules that they 100% voted for.
Sure. I think that we are making a leadership change to have a renewed focus, a renewed determination, a renewed sense of mission, so that we can be a fighting force against a Biden administration that's really hurting people.
It really is. I noted that when it was polled, that more Americans agreed with us that removing the speaker was the wise move. And of course, Republicans, it was, I think, in the 60-plus percentile. I'll take that win every day.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
Well, and I caution to be too focused on polling because, a poll is a snapshot in a moment in time. So if you were to take a snapshot of a rocket as it was launching, it might not tell the whole story. And if you were to take a snapshot of a knife as it was falling, similarly, it wouldn't tell the whole story. But what I think people sense is that the House of Representatives had not achieved anything other than underwriting Joe Biden's debt and expanding Nancy Pelosi's policies and spending priorities. And we were promised more than that. And I think we're going to get more than that. I really think we should have a positive outlook about what a Jim Jordan speakership could bring us.
I think you could, and I think we should. After we get through the single subject appropriations bills, I'm going to let something important to you. It's important to me because in Tennessee you have caption bills, and the bill has to follow the caption. It can't be added on a bunch of garbage, and that's why Tennessee's a balanced budget state. What do you think will be our next biggest fight after that?
Well, I think actually we're going to be looking at a supplemental spending bill that probably offends your and my fiscal conservatism, but also offends our sense of process.
Yeah.
The Biden administration has signaled that they want to lash together Ukraine funding, more money for Israel, and then something they call border security, but really will just be processing people into the country more quickly. And however you feel about those three things, Tim, I think people in Northwest Florida and people in East Tennessee would say, well, shouldn't you spend a little bit of time on each one of those separately and make a separate decision about Ukraine, Israel, whatever's going on the border, instead of mushing them all together? That is a swampy Washington way to do business that I want to change.
I agree with you. I think we totally miscalculated up here what the people are thinking, because the people get it. And they get, when we talk about single spending, because when I get it repeated back to me in Knoxville, you're right about that single spending, because that's where they add the garbage, and they can understand that. And I think that leads me to my next thing. You're very passionate about this issue, and you've been great. What gives you that passion, Matt? Is it something from your family? Is it your folks? I know your granddad served elected office. Tell me about that.
Well, I have a wonderful family. I've been blessed with a mother and father who love me dearly, been married my whole life. I've got a wonderful sister named Erin, and my dad always drilled into us that we had an obligation to do things for others as a consequence of having had great opportunity in life. And my dad served on our school board. He served in the state senate. And I admired so much the hope that he could instill in people and the good that he could do. I still believe that public service can be a great force for good. I served in our state legislature from 2010 to 2016. I loved my service in the state legislature. You and I always are talking fondly about our time in state government.
Yep.
And I represent a district that has some of the highest concentration of active duty military and veterans. So whenever I want to allow myself to get down or feel sorry for myself or have a moment of self-pity, I think about those military families who have to deal with deployments, TDY, moving, changing schools, changing homes, and they do all of that out of a love for country. And if that doesn't get you fired up, getting a chance to represent those folks, I don't know what would.
Yeah, you need to stay home if that doesn't get you going. I know you don't take PAC money, and I think and I've heard your reasoning. Tell my folks why you don't.
I just get the sense that with a lot of the donations that come from lobbyists and special interests, they're buying access that regular people don't have to platform their needs and their ideas. And I don't think it's right. I can't say I came to this decision immediately. When I first got to Washington, I accepted the lobbyist money and the PAC money. And after some time, it just became too unseemly to me. And so I made the decision that wouldn't be a part of my public service going forward. And what I'm proud to tell you is, the average, donation to me is only about $35. And I'm not bragging about that, but I'm suggesting that as we look at policy reforms on the legality and propriety of lobbyists and PACs funding political campaigns, there's another way. And if you inspire people to be part of politics with not just their heart and soul, but with maybe just tens of dollars, it can lead to a pretty democratized distribution of power. And that's a government structure that is more appealing to me than these folks who wander around these halls in their $5,000 suits and $800 loafers. That, folks looking like that where we're from probably catch a different kind of look walking down the street than they do here.
Absolutely. I know a lot of folks I get a lot of negative comments from folks, and I know you do too. I wonder, what would you tell folks that had a negative thought about you? What would you tell them about you that maybe they don't know?
Well, it's okay. I'm not for everyone. I understand.
Your acquired taste?
That if you look throughout all of human history, Tim, there's never anyone who's accomplished great things who is universally popular.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, sometimes when you accomplish the most is when you have to take a lot of criticism. And what my view of politics is that if you have a high approval rating, that's not something to set on the shelf and admire like it's like you're participating in idolatry. It is something to draw down on, to make change,
yeah.
so that the result of your service isn't universal popularity, but actual deliverables for the people who are counting on us to fight for them. So I don't mind the criticism that I draw. I want to make sure that each and every day the folks throughout this country who work hard, who want a fair shake, have someone to believe in who puts their interests first.
I sometimes will go to things that I know that, I got people, detractors there, and it's and sometimes sometimes you win them over. I'm always surprised at some people that say, well, I didn't know you thought that way, because they read something on the internet or heard it on the news or whatever, and then they just assumed that was the truth. And then when they heard the reality,
and sometimes just by the binary nature of our politics, people think that because you're a Republican or a Democrat, you hold certain views. But I think President Trump really led a realignment of our politics,
really did.
where there are more Republicans championing working class issues. And bringing people into that realignment is an education process that puts a burden on us to get out there and explain what we're doing.
You saw a lot of minorities, a lot of working folks, a lot of union folks that we thought, or not we, me personally, those are the folks that always have supported me. Working folks have, since I've been in state legislature and mayor and here. But I think too many times we've discounted what they thought and not listened to them, and he obviously did. And that's where he got it. This is the part that I always say I dislike the most, and my viewers and listeners like the best. This is where you get to ask me anything you want.
I've been dying to ask you this question,
right.
And I'm glad I get to do it on camera. But do you realize that it's just an established fact that you could bring your goober level down like 3 rungs if you just took those ropes off the back of your glasses?
I thought about that. We talked about that today, and I made some out of banana fibers. And,
but what is it that you think you're getting for what convenience is that providing that is worth the Mr. Magoo?
I can just do this. I can just do this. I can just do this, and I don't have to worry about losing them.
But you're not in a nursing home. You could just put them in your pocket and wear a suit.
That's true. All right, Matt, here's what we're going to do, just for the art of compromise.
For the rest of the day, I'm just telling you, the paparazzi's going to think that there was a new member of Congress elected.
Yep.
When you don't. Look at this. Look at this.
It's a new man.
It's a new man. If you are being really, really left short if you are on the audio-only portion of Tennessee Talks right now. You're gonna. Where do people watch this on video?
They're not as cool as I think they are. Obviously, I think they're very cool, but I guess now you've shamed me so much, I'll have to figure out what to do. But
I think that this has been a mutually beneficial session of self-improvement.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you, brother, for joining me today.
Thank you.
You've been a good friend to me, and the people of Florida. When I go down there, they love you. I mean, they love you, and I love visiting your district because it is when my wife and daughter and I went the first time. We went somewhere and it was just magic. I mean, it was like surreal. That beach is is the best, the whitest sands and the coolest water and the nicest people.
When your folks need to get a little salt air, they come down to spend some time with my folks, and when my folks need to get a little bit of that fresh mountain air, we can
it's
head
back
up
and
to
forth.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
That's right.
I would see signs down there of people they'd say that, and they were from East Tennessee, and I'd say, hey, I thought y'all lived up here, lived in Knoxville, but they don't. They live down there. So, but anyway, well, Matt, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody for joining us for another episode of Tennessee Talks. And I'm Congressman Tim Burchett. Thank y'all for sitting here.
This is Tennessee Talks with United States Congressman Tim Burchett.